All right, another spark and another build. The weave is open. Today we're talking about something every card game has, but Tools and Titans does differently. We're talking about survival.
In most games, that means a health pool, a big number that just gets chipped away. It's simple, but it's just a number. It doesn't tell a story. The creators of TNT wanted something more, something architectural.
They wanted to know what's holding your Titan up. What is the foundation beneath the power? That question led to a core system, something fundamental to every single deck you'll ever build. We're talking about durability, about resilience.
We're going from Crackbind to Bedrock. This is the Titan durability system, officially the Resilience Corebands. And it's not just about how much damage a Titan can take, it's about what it takes to even get them on the field, fully powered up.
But before we dive deep into the system, let's talk about how to play Tools and Titans. So how do you play Tools and Titans? Easy. Draw your cards.
Charge your energy.
Build your field.
Act with your powers.
Clash with your Titans.
End your turn.
6 steps, 1 epic battle. Now let's get started. The Titan durability system is a system that asks a crucial question before you even play a card. Is your foundation strong enough to bear the weight of power? So let's start at the very bottom. B, what exactly is ST?
ST stands for Structural Threshold. It's a numerical stat you'll find on every single Titan card. Think of it as the magic number, the architectural requirement for your Titan's presence on the battlefield.
So it's not health points. It's more like an infrastructure score.
Exactly. It represents how many structures or their equivalents you must have active on your field. This single number dictates when you can ascend your Titan, how you maintain your zone's integrity, and even how you access some of the most powerful synergy effects in the game.
So without meeting that threshold, your Titan is basically running at half power. Maybe it can't even ascend to its final form at all.
That's the core of it. It prevents card decay, protects you from certain PvE hazards, and reflects how well supported your Titan's presence is. It's a mechanic that's deeply tied to the game's narrative. You can't build a skyscraper on a foundation of sand.
And that brings us to the Resilience Corebands, the official classification system, 3 tiers that define every Titan, a roadmap for strategy. Let's break them down. Tier 1.
The Crackbind core. ST is 4 to 5. These are the agile, tactical combo Titans. The game designers call them the Glassblade Titans.
Glassblade. It tells you everything. Fast, sharp, but fragile. So what does that look like in a game?
It's a philosophy of overwhelming force, delivered quickly. A Crackbind player wants the game to end on their terms, before their weak foundation can be exploited. Their decks are packed with low-cost tools and high-impact tasks that get the job done now.
So they're not planning for a long winter. They're creating a summer storm. Who fits this mold?
A classic example is Draftor, who has an ST of 4. He thrives on completing multiple tasks in a single turn. His deck is full of cards that draw more cards, letting him chain actions together in a dizzying combo. But he needs the board to be just right. One piece of disruption can make his whole plan crumble.
And you mentioned Lokara at ST5. She sounds more reactive.
She is. Lokara's deck is about control, but a very fragile kind of control. She uses baits and zone traps. She wants the opponent to walk right into her plan. Her low ST means she can't build a defensive wall, so she has to be smarter. She predicts and she punishes.
So with a Crackbind Titan, your goal is to get in, execute your combo, and win fast. Because your structural foundation is inherently low. You're not building a fortress, you're building a lightning rod.
Precisely. High speed, high risk, but incredible rewards. They push the absolute limit of what's possible in a short amount of time.
All right, so from the fragile Crackbinds, where do we go next? From glass to steel. What's Tier 2?
Next up is the Forgeplate core. This is your mid-range, Titans with an ST of 6 or 7. These are the balanced, moderately durable workhorses of the game, the reinforced Titans.
They've got average wear and a solid build. Not too fast, not too slow. This sounds like where a lot of synergy-focused decks would live. This is the tier of adaptability.
You're dead on. Forgeplate decks are like a well-stocked toolbox. They have an answer for most situations. They can play aggressively if they need to, or they can pivot to a defensive game. Their strength is their flexibility.
Let's talk examples. You said Masonics ST7. How does he use that reinforced foundation?
Masonics is the quintessential builder. His structures aren't just there to meet his ST, they are his engine. One of his structures might reduce the cost of his tasks. Another might let him draw a card whenever he plays a tool. His entire deck is an interconnected machine, with the structures as the chassis.
And Solaritan, also ST7?
Solaritan is about sustainability. Her mechanics center on weave flow and energy recursion. She builds a foundation that slowly generates value every single turn. She's not trying to win in a single explosive turn like Drafter. She's trying to outlast you, building an advantage that becomes insurmountable over time.
So with Forgeplate, you're investing a bit more. You're building a balanced board, looking for that mid-game combo. You're adaptable and sustainable.
It's the tier of reliable synergy. You're not as fragile as a Crackbind, but you're not as slow as what's coming next. You can adapt. Forgeplate Titans are designed to hold the weight of a developing game.
And that brings us to the heavyweights. The final tier? Tier Dre.
Welcome to the Bedrock core. These are the Titans of the late game, with an ST of 8 or 9. These are heavy, structure-based control Titans. Their narrative analogy says it all: unyielding monoliths.
Unyielding monoliths. So these are the tanks, the fortresses, the decks that plan to be there on turn 1 and still be there on turn 20. It sounds slow, but nearly unbreakable.
That's the trade-off. A Bedrock player is making a promise. I will survive your early assault, and when my fortress is complete, you will have no way to win. Their structures are expensive, often costing a lot of energy, but their effects are game-altering.
Like what? What does an ST8 or 9 structure do?
A Bedrock tier structure might prevent the opponent from targeting your Titan with effects. Another could shut down a specific card type, like Flux cards, entirely. They don't just build a board, they rewrite the rules of engagement for that specific zone.
You mentioned Obscuran, ST8. How does he use that?
Obscuron is a reality-warping Titan. Once his foundation is built, he establishes an oppressive zone presence that's almost impossible to break. He can block phases of a turn, increase costs for his opponent, and warp the very flow of the game. He is the definition of control. And on the corrupted side, there's Rostara, ST9. She's an unbreakable Rustborn who completely dominates late-game control. She doesn't just defend, she denies. Her structures actively dismantle the opponent's strategy piece by piece.
But the risk must be huge. If a Bedrock player gets rushed down before they can build that ST of 8 or 9, they just lose.
They just lose. It's a high-stakes gamble. Your early turns are spent almost entirely on defense and construction. You are vulnerable, but if you survive, if you can place that final brick in your wall, you become inevitable.
Every Titan turn, draw, charge, building act, clash, end.
6 steps, infinite ways to forge your victory.
So now that we understand the 3 tiers, let's talk about the strategic impact. This isn't just flavor. The ST tier directly changes how you play, moment to moment. Let's talk Ascension.
Ascension is the moment your Titan transforms. They get more power, new abilities, and often a new win condition. But you physically cannot trigger it unless your ST requirement is met. It's a hard gate. This is the ultimate reward for building your foundation correctly.
And it makes sabotaging your opponent's ST a core strategy. It's not just about destroying their Titan. It's about destroying what holds their Titan up. Give me an example.
Okay, imagine you're playing your Forgeplate Masonics deck. You have an ST of 7, and you have exactly 7 structures on the field. You're ready to ascend next turn and win the game. But your opponent plays a single flux card called Structural Collapse. It targets and destroys one of your key structures.
And just like that, I'm at ST6. My ascension is denied. I have to spend another turn, another set of resources, just to get back to where I was. It's a huge tempo loss.
Exactly. And this ties into the meta. Some decks are built specifically around this idea. They are anti-structure decks. They might not have a powerful late-game Titan of their own, but they excel at keeping Bedrock and Forgeplate players from ever reaching their potential.
So it creates a kind of rock, paper, scissors effect. The fast Crackbind decks can overwhelm the slow Bedrock decks before they get set up. The heavy Bedrock decks can outlast the balanced Forgeplate decks, and the adaptable Forgeplate decks have the tools to weather the initial storm of a Crackbind deck and stabilize.
It's a well-designed ecosystem. Each strategy has a predator, and this extends to PvE as well. In modes like the Hollow Crucible, environmental hazards called Scorch will actively target your board, and the higher your ST, the bigger a threat you appear to be.
So a Bedrock player's massive board state actually draws more aggression from the environment itself. Your strength becomes a beacon for danger. It all comes back to that design insight. ST isn't just a number. It's a symbol of how well your Titan is grounded.
The Coreband system provides a scaffold for game balance, a framework for the lore, and even a progression path. It ensures that every deck has to earn its power, not just through flashy combos or high energy, but through the very foundations it builds and sustains.
It makes Ascension feel earned. It feels interconnected with everything you've done on the board up to that point. It makes the whole experience more solid.
That's the beauty of it. The narrative is expressed through the mechanics. The strength of a Titan is not just in their power, it's in what holds them up.
In every match of tools and Titans, your tradecraft unfolds in 6 simple moves: draw,
Charge,
building,
act,
clash,
end.
simplicity for the novice, mastery for the Titan.